records show a population of 10,431 people in 1969, about 3,000 of which were children. But a year later, in 1970, Monroeville had dropped to just 200 people, none of whom were children. In the years since, civilians and experts alike have tried to explain the mysterious overnight vanishing of Monroeville. The following story is a dramatization of the most compelling theory, curated from eyewitness testimony, journal entries, and the autopsy of one Fred. It was recorded live with a full cast of actors and will be performed for you now for the first time ever. Without further ado, I invite you to sit back, get a warm drink or your favorite snack, dim the lights, and enjoy the meddling.
Prologue, in which the children are named and addressed. Darkness. A faint green and orange glow gleams over a large group of people, sitting silently facing the audience. They are the children. Each dons a black cloak and a makeshift mask in the shape of a yellow and orange cartoon flower.
The audience sits silently in the darkened room. You are the audience. You are silent. You are blind. You are unborn, but only for a moment. Only before you are asked to see, before you are asked to hear, before you are asked to feel, before the invitation is extended, before you are persuaded to accept, before the light casts shadows on the wall of the cave, before your acclamation. For this moment, you and your silence are all there is, but shh, do you sense it? Say farewell to this womb. Here comes your birth. You're about to become the children.
A low hum-click of a projector. Shaky freehand camera footage rolls as we see the back of the stage, a blown-up image of a missing child poster. A low note vibrates.
William Davidson, 12. Charlotte Ray, 8. Elizabeth Patton, 6. Marshall Duff, 11. Stephen Lang, 10. Robert Baxter, 11. Tracy Sim, 7.
The camera pulls out, revealing dozens upon dozens of similar posters plastered across rows of trees. The voices continue to list names. If the performers are aware of certain friends or family present in the audience, their names may be read in the place of one or more of the following.
Tina Moffat,
James
13.
Harper,
Denise
8.
Todd,
Devlin Parker,
8. Craig
11.
Giles,
Laura Scott,
9.
12.
Kathleen Garcia,
Mark Holmes,
11. Aaron
9.
Burke,
Justin
10.
Magallanes,
Renee
10.
James,
Paula Dawson,
12. Vincent
10.
O'Neill,
Lance Irving,
7.
6. Richard
Sheila
Sloan,
Carter,
11.
6.
Melissa Douglas,
Mara Carlin,
12.
13.
Brett Moore,
Beth Stevens, 10.
Cindy McEwen,
Jose Brooks, 11.
6.
Denise Lyons, 9.
Sarah Paul,
Edward McBride, 10. Gary
6.
Dolan, 8.
As the voices continue, a song, namely Boogie Wonderland by Earth, Wind & Fire, is rising in volume, all but drowning out the voices. Freddie and Daniela move 2 sets of tables on stage, bobbing and dancing to the music. A disco ball is hung as the orange and teal streamers.
last seen September 13th, 1969.
Scene 1, in which the gang doesn't meet. Boogie Wonderland is still playing. Freddie and Daniela dance.
My apologies. I didn't realize I was muted. Thank you, Queen, for informing me. Oh, good grief.
Daniela is joined by Reggie.
I'm about to start the art.
At opposing tables. Norville orders 2 drinks. Jones passes Vicky, who rises.
But I'm trying to get reference images up, and I'm trying to find an old link that was, like, perfect for, like, my avatar stuff, because someone used to have a website.
Hey, Jones.
Give me a minute.
What?
I need a minute to think about it.
Really? You seemed pretty confident about it when...
There we go.
Give me 15 minutes to make up my mind, okay? I need to be sure. in 15 minutes and we have a deal.
Can you make it 10? I hate it here. And I seriously hope you're not getting cold feet, by the way. Because getting my hopes up and making me come here just to say, never mind, fuck you, is a pretty horrible thing to do, honestly.
Wow.
What?
I didn't know it meant this much to you.
Take your 15 minutes. Cool?
Cool.
Now go. Pretend like you don't know me.
I don't know you.
Vicky crosses her arms and Jones disappears briefly into the crowd. Freddy walks towards Vicky, but is swept away among the dancers. Freddy then attempts to reach Norville's table but is cut off by Jones, who approaches Norville instead.
Excuse me, man. You got a lighter?
A lighter what?
What?
A lighter what? A lighter dumbbell? A lighter little homework?
No, man. A lighter. Not like less heavy. A lighter.
Jones pantomimes lighting a cigarette. Norville stares blankly.
Okay. Never mind.
I like the changelings from My Little Pony. That's one of the main questions I get.
Generally funny, you know?
Let's see.
They appeal widely and they make sense. The lighter thing, that was fucking contrived. And this isn't like me like ribbing you. I just met you. It's just some honest feedback I'm giving you in case you're trying to tell jokes.
Were you on the dance floor?
Yeah, for a bit.
Did you meet a girl named Daniela?
I don't know. We're not exactly wearing name tags. What does she look like?
I've never seen her.
Are you blind or something?
No, it's a blind date.
I see.
Been here for an hour.
Norville gestures to the two drinks on the table.
I see. Stood up, huh?
She didn't stand up. She never even sat down.
Better. Do you mind if I join you? I got a few minutes to kill.
Norville nods and Jones takes a seat.
Would you believe I wanted to be a comedian by trade? Don't know how I'll ever draw an audience if I can't even draw a single girl.
No wonder your humor's all out of whack. You're heartbroken.
More like disappointed.
Not much of a difference. Jones, by the way.
They are pretty cool. Hey, Bucky.
Jones, that's an interesting name. First or last?
Last.
I used to have a website where I had...
Weird fucking first name.
Can't be that bad.
No, it really is.
Yeah, the rainbow form is creepy.
Again, my name's Norville, and I'm the one whose date didn't show up, so maybe bring yourself down to my level a little bit in terms of embarrassment.
Foresight.
Oof, you win.
Both take a drink. Norville's face wrinkles.
Do you smell that?
Hey.
First time I'm seeing this version of the model. Yeah, I made her about a month ago, but I haven't been able to chance to use her.
Yeah.
You got sprayed by a skunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Jones bursts out in laughter.
Now, that is funny. You know what, man? You want some? I got it on me now.
What?
No charge. I'm feeling charitable, and you look like you're having a hard time. Really, I don't mind.
Do you mean like cannabis?
Yeah. I wouldn't exactly call it that. It's not really a prescription, but yeah, MJ.
Can we talk about something else?
What was my least favorite episode of Friendship is Magic? Mine was Newbie Dash.
It's not really everyone's thing.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't have like a least favorite episode until you got like into the later seasons. Like I didn't even watch the entirety of season 9.
That's only a couple months away.
Like I think I like the one episode I forget because it's been so long. I probably need to go and actually do like a rewatch of the entire series. Because I actually had the first season on DVD. But yeah, it's like there was that one episode where they brought back like all the big bad villains. They brought back Sombra, they brought back Chrysalis, they brought back Tyrek. I watched like that episode because I thought they were like, finally, the Sombra's gonna get more love. And then they killed him in that exact episode. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm I'm good. I don't think I watched anything past that.
Appreciate it, Norville. Really, I do.
Did you watch the movie?
I don't really want you to buy
Like the one that went into theaters that had Tempest Shadow or Tempest. Yeah, I watched that. I was okay with that. My favorite movie still is Rainbow Rocks. I love the music from that one. Okay, this will work. Where are my screenshots?
Can't we just dance? I like dancing on dates.
Me too. It's super sexy, and you know.
Okay, I'm just going to have to screenshot this because someone used to have a reference of all this stuff.
Yes, dancing is
Copy.
sexy. It's more of a trust thing for me, though. Two people making sudden movements.
There we go.
Totally in tandem. No voice or language or anything. All unified by the beat of the song. Don't you agree?
We'll dance our asses off, babe, in a little bit. Let me go buy another round first, okay?
Reggie
Save
motions
this
towards the bar, but peeks
desktop.
back towards the booth where Norville and Jens are sitting.
Oh, hey, man. Having fun?
Okay. Okay.
I guess.
Let's see. Desktop.
Class, right?
That I am, sir. That I am. Look, I couldn't help but notice that you
There we go.
two seem to have struck out in the love department tonight, and I had half a mind to ask why.
Well,
You guessed it. Got stood up.
Why is that not
I should probably
allowing
leave,
me
actually.
to...
Hey, not so fast, Skin and Bones. Hey, don't I know you from someplace too?
Moisturize
I'm
layer.
not sure.
Reggie extends his hand for a shake.
Reggie.
Why
Melton.
is this not... Okay, 1 second.
Melton?
File.
Like Father Melton?
Save.
My pops.
Why did the MALP staff change the changelings?
Whoa.
I
I gotta tell you,
don't know. That would probably be a question for someone who worked on the show.
Very reassuring.
Well, seeing as you know my old man, and that you're a man of God such as myself, I have a little proposition for you. I cure your lovesick blues. So, I'm here with this sheepdog.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure she's ready to go south of the border.
ah,
Okay.
Danny for some shit. Anyways,
Daniela?
oh, what, you know her?
No, not really.
Oh, well, you want to? Because here's the situation. I showed up tonight looking for a good time, and up walks the hottest little number this side of the equator. And she asks me, you'll get a kick out of this. She asks me, are you my blind date? Naturally, I said,
There we go.
yes.
I don't know why sometimes I get am able to paste stuff in. Okay. Okay, I got references. Now we can actually switch over to the correct thing.
And then I figured, why not just get us some drinks? Ladies love that. And she's given me some mixed signals.
Okay.
But it's pretty obvious she wants to get a little...
Okay, this thing I was watching, I definitely need to actually probably be paying attention if I want to have anything of the story following. Let's see. Let's see. I haven't listened to the Lighthouse's stuff in a while. Okay, this works. Okay. Da, 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 da.
My name is Harvey Fields, and for the last 3 years I've worked the night shift at a little gas station off Highway 41
Okay.
outside Black Creek, Kentucky. If you drove past during the day, Probably wouldn't think twice about it.
Okay, now we can actually get
A small
started.
faded red sign that still advertised fountain drinks for 99 cents, even though
I'm
they
just
hadn't
gonna
cost
turn that
much
down a
in years.
bit.
A coffee station tucked against the back wall.
Okay,
beside the food coolers.
so
One employee working
we're going to be working on a picture for my audio reading of a story that I've been having on YouTube for a while. I'm slowly transitioning stuff over to Rumble as a backup, but this one's probably going to take a bit because I'm still working on it. I think I got it set up so that my Gilded Sister one is going to be slowly transitioning over that way. But let's see. Okay, so I'm also going to be, if you hear something in the background, if you want to actually be paying attention to it, I'm listening to Lighthouse Horrors, I work at a gas station that shouldn't exist, reading. I don't know if he actually reads these, or yeah. Anyway.
nights. Looked
Okay.
like every other independent gas station scattered across rural America. And that's exactly why I took the job. I wasn't trying to chase some dream career. I wasn't trying to find myself. I just wanted a steady paycheck and a routine that didn't change every other week. For almost a decade, I'd bounce from job to job. Clock in, do the work, go home. There was something satisfying about the same thing every day. This job offered that. At least it was supposed to. The station sat almost 30 miles from the nearest town. Whoever built it picked about the loneliest stretch of highway they could find. There weren't any neighborhoods nearby, or restaurants, or truck stops. No fast food chains glowing across the street. Just the station. Behind it sat a small dumpster enclosure, a propane cage, and a wall of hardwood forest that stretched farther than I could see. Across the highway, there were more trees. If you stepped outside after midnight and turned the store lights off, it was dark enough that you couldn't even make out the tree line. I like that. Maybe that sounds strange, but after spending years around traffic and crowded loading docks, the quiet was a nice change. The overnight shift was usually peaceful. After a couple weeks, I knew almost everyone's routine. Some nights I'd only have 10 or 12 customers before sunrise. The hours passed faster than most people would think. The owner was a woman named Denise Crawford. She'd owned the place longer than anyone in town could remember. Some said 20 years, others said 35. One customer swore she'd been behind that register since the 70s. Denise never bothered correcting anyone. She wasn't unfriendly, she just wasn't the type to waste words. When I interviewed, she looked over my application for maybe 5 minutes before asking 2 questions. You mind working by yourself? No. You mind working holidays? Not really. She nodded. When can you start? That was the entire interview. No personality test or corporate videos, no handbook the size of a phone book. Just a handshake and a start date. My first 2 weeks went exactly the way I'd hoped they would. Nothing exciting happened. I learned which cooler door stuck if you open it too far. I figured out the lottery machine jammed whenever someone fed it wrinkled bills. Pump 3 occasionally stopped pumping after 4 or 5 gallons if customers squeezed the handle too hard. The coffee machine made a loud clicking noise every time it finished brewing. Little things. The kind of details you only notice after spending long nights in the same building. I settled into the routine faster than any job I'd ever had. And honestly, I thought I'd keep working there for years. And then Denise asked me to come into the office before my first shift alone. She walked past the shelves of cigarettes, disappeared into the tiny office behind the register, and unlocked the bottom drawer of an old metal filing cabinet. Instead of pulling out payroll forms or tax paperwork, she laid a single laminated sheet of paper on the desk between us. It had 5 rules on it. I remember smiling after I read the first one. I looked up at Denise, and she didn't say anything. She simply waited for me to finish reading the rest of the page. When I finally looked back up, she slid the paper toward me one last time. Fold it up. Keep it in your pocket. I laughed a little. She didn't. Rule 1. If the lights go out, hide under the register until they come back on. I spent the first couple hours of my first solo shift convincing myself Denise had been messing with me. Every time I reached into my pocket and felt the laminated rule sheet, I smiled. If the lights go out, hide under the register until they come back on. It sounded like something you'd tell a kid at summer camp. The station was quiet. I sold gas to a family heading south, rang up a couple bags of chips for 2 teenagers, and made a fresh pot of coffee around 11. Deputy Brett Snyder stopped in for his usual black coffee and nodded toward the folded paper sticking out of my shirt pocket. She gave it to you. Yeah? Good. That was all he said. I thought about asking him what the rules meant, but he was already walking back to his cruiser. By 1 in the morning, I hadn't seen another customer in almost 40 minutes. I swept the floor, stocked the coolers, and counted cigarette cartons behind the register. Outside, the highway was empty. Not a single pair of headlights in either direction. The silence was actually nice. And then the lights went out. Every single one. The ceiling lights, the coolers, the register, even the lights over the gas pumps outside. The building went completely black. I sighed. Seriously? I reached under the counter for the flashlight. And then I remembered the first rule. For a second, I just stood there. Power outages happen. You don't crawl under a register because the electricity goes out, do you? I took a step toward the office to check the breaker. The bell over the front door rang. I turned toward the entrance. The door hadn't opened. I know it hadn't because I was looking straight at it. The bell rang again. Still no movement. And then I heard footsteps. They came from the front of the store. Slow and heavy. I didn't wait for another explanation. I dropped behind the register and squeezed underneath the counter. It was cramped beneath there. Boxes of cigarettes, receipt paper, and a small safe left just enough room for me to curl into a ball. The footsteps kept coming. Another set entered, then another, and within less than a minute, the store sounded busy. Cooler doors opened, candy wrappers crinkled. Something bumped into the chip display. Nobody spoke, and that was the strangest part. Every customer I'd ever had said something. Pump 4. Bathroom. I get a pack of Marlboros. These things didn't say a word. I watched through the narrow gap beneath the counter. The first pair of feet walked past. Gray skin. 4 long toes. Black nails that scraped softly across the tile. Another passed. This one looked almost human until I noticed its feet bent backward. A third stopped right in front of the register. It stood there without moving, and then it slowly crouched. A gray hand slid beneath the counter, and the fingers were far too long. They searched across the floor, brushing against receipt boxes and cleaning supplies until they stopped less than a foot from my face. I held my breath. The hand stayed there. And then it tapped the floor once, twice, like it knew I was hiding. I was certain it was about to grab me. But instead, the bell over the door rang again. The hand disappeared. The thing stood up and walked away. I stayed frozen. More footsteps wandered through the store. A cooler door opened, closed. Someone knocked over a bottle. Glass rolled across the floor, and then everything went quiet. A second later, the lights came back. The refrigerators hummed. The register beeped as it restarted. I didn't move, not right away. I waited another minute before crawling out. The store looked perfect. Nothing had been stolen or broken. The chip display was standing exactly where I'd left it. And for one stupid moment, I wondered if I'd imagined the whole thing. And then I looked down. 3 wet footprints crossed the tile in front of the register. Gray, 4-toed, each one ending in long claw marks. They stopped halfway across the aisle, like whatever made them had simply vanished. I didn't touch them. I stood behind the counter until sunrise, just staring at those prints. Denise arrived a little after 6, carrying her usual coffee. She saw the footprints before she looked at me. The lights went out, she said. I nodded. And you stayed under the register? Yeah? She smiled. It was the first time I'd ever seen her smile. Good. And then she grabbed the mop from the closet and cleaned the footprints herself. When she finished, I asked the only question I could think of. What were those things? She dumped the dirty mop water into the utility sink and rinsed the bucket. And then she looked back at me and said, "Don't ask." Rule 2. Never sell gasoline to anyone wearing a raincoat when it isn't raining. After what happened during the blackout, I stopped laughing at the rules. I didn't understand them. I wasn't even sure I believed what I'd seen, but I wasn't about to ignore them either. For the next week, nothing unusual happened. I worked my shifts, sold gas, stocked shelves, cleaned coffee pots. Denise never brought up the footprints again, and I eventually stopped asking questions she clearly wasn't interested in answering. And then one Thursday night, I finally understood why Rule 2 existed. It was just after 1 in the morning. The weather was clear enough that I could see stars over the tree line. There wasn't a cloud anywhere. No wind either. The parking lot looked almost unnaturally still. A pair of headlights turned into the station then. An old green pickup rolled slowly toward Pump 4. The truck had to be 40 years old. Rust covered the doors, one headlight was cracked, and the tailgate looked like it was being held shut with wire. The driver climbed out. He was wearing a bright yellow raincoat. Not one of those thin plastic ponchos. It was a heavy rubber raincoat that reached almost to his knees. The hood covered most of his face. I immediately looked outside. Dry pavement, clear skies, not a single drop of rain. Without thinking, I reached into my pocket and unfolded the rule sheet. The bell above the door rang. The man walked inside. Water dripped from his coat. Not a little, enough to leave a trail across the floor. He stopped at the counter. Pump 4. I glanced toward the window. His truck was the only vehicle in the lot. I'm sorry. The pumps are down. He didn't answer. He just stood there. After a few seconds, he tilted his head. They were working yesterday. I know. They're broken tonight. Another long silence, then... I don't need much. I'm sorry. Half a tank? I can't. He stared at me for several more seconds. And then I noticed something. The water dripping from his coat wasn't clear. It was black. Each drop left a dark stain on the white tile. Finally, he smiled. It wasn't wide, just enough for me to see teeth that looked far too long. I understand. He turned around and walked back outside. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Then he stopped beside Pump 4. He didn't get back into his truck. He simply stood there, facing the store, not moving. 5 minutes passed, then 10. He never shifted his weight, never looked around, never scratched his face, nothing. He stood perfectly still. I called Denise, and she answered on the second ring. Hello?
Hey, Princess Slate. Hey,
Yeah,
Princess
the guy
Pirate.
from Rule 2
How are
is here.
you?
Raincoat. Yellow? Did you sell him gas? No. Good. He's just standing there. I know. Well, what do I do? Nothing. He's been there 10 minutes. I know. When's he leaving? There was a pause.
When he feels like it.
The line went dead. That wasn't very helpful, I thought. 20 more minutes scrolled by. The man never moved. I tried watching TV on the little security monitor in the office, but I couldn't focus. Every few minutes I'd look out the window. He was still there. Exactly where he'd been before. Around 2 o'clock, another car pulled into the station. A young woman got out and walked toward the pumps. Before she reached him, the man in the raincoat slowly turned his head. She froze. Even from inside the store, I could see the confusion on her face. She looked at him, looked at me through the window, and then climbed back into her car and drove away without buying anything. The man turned back toward the building. Another 30 minutes passed, and I finally started wondering if he'd stay until sunrise. Then something moved at the edge of the woods behind him. At first I thought it was a deer. It wasn't. Whatever stepped out of those trees had to duck beneath the lowest branches. It was enormous, at least 9 feet tall. Its arms hung almost to its knees. I couldn't make out many details in the darkness, only a broad shape. The raincoat man never turned around. It walked silently across the grass until it stopped directly behind him. The two of them stood there for several seconds, and then the larger figure gently rested one hand on the man's shoulder, like they knew each other. Together, they walked back into the woods. Neither of them looked toward the station again. By sunrise, there wasn't a single footprint in the parking lot. Not from the truck, or the giant thing, or even tire tracks. It was like neither of them had ever been there.
Not everyone's life runs in straight lines. At Sophia, we get that. Our flexible, affordable.
Rule 3. Every night at 2:17, Pump 4 will activate by itself. Don't touch it. By the time my third week rolled around, I'd stopped looking for logical explanations. The lights had gone out. I'd hidden under the register while things walked through the store. A man in a raincoat had stood outside for almost an hour before disappearing into the woods with something twice his size. I still couldn't explain any of it, but I had learned one important lesson. The rules worked. After that, I stopped asking why they existed.
Hello,
and
Rough
started
Bard.
learning
How are
more about
you?
following them. Rule 3 came on a Tuesday morning. Business had been unusually slow. I'd only had 3 customers since midnight, and by 2 o'clock I was wiping down the coffee station for the second time just to stay busy. I glanced at the clock. 2:16. I walked over to the front windows. Pump 4 sat empty beneath a canopy. No cars or people. Nothing. The digital clock behind the counter changed. 2:17. A loud click echoed outside. Pump 4 came to life. The screen lit up. The nozzle unlocked itself. And then gasoline started pouring out of the concrete. There wasn't a car connected to it.
Thank you for the
nozzle
check-in.
still rested in its holder.
How was your
Gasoline
week been?
spilled from the end of it, splashing across the pavement beneath the pump. Now, my first instinct was to run outside. The emergency shutoff switch sat right beside the front door. One slap would stop every pump in the
Normal?
property.
That's good.
I actually reached for the handle, and then I remembered the rule. Don't touch it. I stood there watching. The gasoline kept flowing. The smell reached the front door almost immediately. The puddle spread beneath the pump, reflecting the bright canopy lights. They kept growing. 30 seconds, 40, a full minute. Finally, the pump clicked. The display froze. Exactly 10 gallons. Not a drop more. The nozzle locked itself again. Everything went silent, and I waited. Nothing happened. That's it? I spent the next several minutes staring through the window. The puddle just sat there. Nobody arrived or climbed out of the woods. Nobody came from the highway. I started wondering if Denise had simply been wasting 10 gallons of gas every night for some bizarre reason. And then I noticed movement beyond the edge of the parking lot. Someone was walking toward the station from the trees. He wore dirty blue overalls and heavy work boots. At first he looked completely normal. And then he stepped beneath the canopy. His skin wasn't skin. It looked like tree bark. Dark brown cracks ran across his face, neck, and hands. Small patches of green moss covered one side of his jaw. And there were tiny leaves coming from his left shoulder. He never looked toward the store. He walked directly to the puddle beneath pump 4, knelt, then drank a big slurp of the gasoline. Then he stood up and walked away, straight back into the woods. I was still trying to process what I'd seen when another figure appeared. This one was a woman. She wore an old white dress stained with mud from the knees down. Her black hair hung past her waist. She crossed the parking lot without making a sound, and when she reached the puddle, she didn't kneel, she simply stared into it. For nearly a minute,
I bet it gets rougher later
still,
on.
looking at her own reflection.
I hope not.
Then she smiled, turned, walked back into the darkness. The puddle remained untouched. 5 minutes later, another visitor arrived. This one ducked beneath the canopy because it was too tall to fit comfortably underneath. It had the body of a man, but its head belonged to a deer. The antlers twisted in impossible directions, and one eye glowed a faint yellow.
Oh, you're
while the
weak?
other was completely
Well,
white.
hopefully it doesn't get
carried
rougher.
An old metal lunchbox. The thing stopped beside pump 4, opened the lunchbox, scooped a small amount of gasoline into it with one enormous hand, closed the lid, then continued walking without ever acknowledging the station. I watched until it disappeared behind the tree line, and over the next hour they kept coming, not in groups, always alone. A woman with skin so pale it almost reflected the lights. A man whose shadow walked half a step behind him. Something shaped roughly like a person, but wrapped entirely in thick gray fur, despite the warm night. An old man whose eyes looked completely black. Each of them approached the puddle. Each of them paused for a few seconds. Some simply looked at it. Some touched it. Some drank from it. None entered the store, none spoke, none even glanced through the windows. Just before 4 o'clock, the last visitor arrived. It looked like a little girl. Couldn't have been older than, 7. She wore a yellow dress and carried a small teddy bear missing one button eye. For the first time all night, I felt sorry for one of them. She walked slowly toward pump 4, stopped beside the gasoline, then carefully dipped one finger into the puddle. She smiled, skipped happily toward the woods, and halfway there she stopped, turned, looked directly at me through the front window. Her eyes were completely black. She raised one hand, pointing toward the forest behind the station. I followed her finger without thinking. There were hundreds of figures standing silently among the trees. I hadn't seen them arrive. They weren't moving. They simply stood between the trunks, watching the gas station, watching me. The little girl turned and joined them, and within seconds, every figure disappeared into the darkness. The woods became empty again. I didn't leave the building until sunrise. When Denise arrived, the puddle beneath pump 4 was gone. The concrete was completely dry. There wasn't even a stain. I checked the pump records after counting the register, and pump 4 had dispensed exactly 10 gallons. No customer had been charged, no money was missing. Everything balanced perfectly. I never asked Denise about the visitors. I already knew what she'd say. Some questions were safer left unanswered. But from then on, every night at exactly 2:17, I watched 10 gallons of gasoline spill onto the pavement. And every night, those things came for it. Rule 4. If the coffee machine starts brewing by itself after midnight, don't touch it. After 3 weeks at the station, I stopped thinking of the rules as warnings. They were schedules. The blackout happened when the lights went out. The man in the raincoat always arrived on clear nights. Every night at 2:17, Pump 4 gave away exactly 10 gallons of gas to things that didn't belong anywhere I'd ever heard of. Nothing happened early. Nothing happened late. The station followed a routine. Eventually, I realized something else. The rules weren't there to stop the strange things from happening. They were there to stop me from interrupting them. And Rule 4 proved that. It happened just after 1 in the morning. The station had been empty for almost an hour. I'd finished stocking the coolers, counted the register, and was halfway through sweeping the coffee area when I heard the familiar click behind me. The coffee maker had turned itself on. I hadn't touched it. There wasn't a timer on the machine either. Denise hated programmable brewers because she'd had too many breaks over the years. Every pot had to be started by hand. This one wasn't. Water began dripping through the filter. The empty pot slowly filled with fresh coffee. I watched it for a few seconds, and then I remembered the rule. So I leaned the broom against the counter and waited. The smell spread through the store. Fresh coffee. Strong, dark. The kind Denise always made. The machine gave its final beep, and almost immediately, the bell over the front door rang. A customer stepped inside. He looked almost normal. Blue jeans, brown work jacket, Orioles baseball cap. If I'd passed him in a grocery store, I wouldn't have looked twice. Then he removed his cap. There wasn't any hair underneath. His head was smooth gray stone. Not skin. Stone. Tiny cracks ran across it like weathered concrete. He walked straight to the coffee station, filled a large cup, placed $2 on the counter, and left without looking at me. The bell rang again. This customer had to duck beneath the doorway. His shoulders nearly brushed both sides of the frame. He wore an old flannel shirt stretched tight across a body that looked carved from tree trunks. Branches grew from one shoulder, complete with green leaves that gently rustled despite the still air inside the store. He carefully picked up the smallest coffee cup we sold. Somehow it looked ridiculous in his enormous hand. He poured coffee almost to the top, added 3 packets of sugar, stirred it gently with one finger, set exact change beside the register, and walked back outside. The bell never stopped ringing for long after that.
Evening,
One customer
Paladin.
left, another entered. A woman whose eyes reflected the moonlight like a cat's. An old man
Thank you.
with shadow.
Hopefully
a
everything
full
is
second
running
after he did.
smoothly. Thank you for the
Something
check-in.
wrapped completely in heavy bandages, except for 2 bright yellow eyes. A figure wearing an expensive business suit whose face remained hidden beneath a cloud of drifting black smoke. None of them acknowledged me or asked for help. Every one of them walked directly to the coffee, poured a cup, paid, and left. It reminded me of watching commuters grab breakfast before work. Ordinary, routine, just not human.
This is
After maybe 15
for
minutes, the station was busier than I'd
a
ever seen it.
fan fiction.
line
It's
actually
Avatar.
Nobody complained.
It
Nobody
is
cut in front of anybody else. They simply waited. The giant with branches growing from his shoulders.
Cold Hard
patiently stood behind the
Instincts.
creature
It's
no
part
taller
of
than
the
4
Always
feet
Trust
and
Sokka's
skin that
Instincts
shimmered like fish
series.
scales. Behind them waited a woman with antlers. Behind her stood something covered in dark feathers.
I
from
really
head
like
to
the,
toe.
for some reason, I always
Every
like
2
the,
minutes, one customer finished, another step forward.
Zuko
I
joins
got
the
this
gang
feeling.
early stories,
Not
and this
because
is
they were
one of them.
frightening anymore, because they acted so normal. One customer wiped spilled coffee off the counter with a napkin before leaving. Another noticed a crooked display of potato chips and straightened it while waiting in line. Something with 6 fin arms spent nearly a minute deciding between hazelnut creamer
I have no
and
clue what
French
this looks,
vanilla
but it looks
before
sweet.
settling on black coffee instead. A broad creature with thick gray hide held the front door open for 3 smaller customers behind him. They thanked him.
Okay, so
The bell rang
to
again.
explain, yes, I'm a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan.
She couldn't have been more than 4 feet
If
tall.
you go to my YouTube channel, you can go through my fanfiction readings. I have done let me pause Lighthouse Horror because I'm actually interested in that reading. If you go to my primary YouTube channel, which if you're watching this on YouTube, hi. But if you go to my Just Plain Countess Rose YouTube channel, I have a lot of fanfiction readings over there. Well, not a lot, but it's going to get bigger because I'm going to be a little bit more diligent about actually uploading that on a regular basis. I have one series called Always Trust Sokka's Instincts, and it is it's posted on AO3. And it is about what if Zuko got... Thoughts on the Seven Kingdoms series? Anything past the original series, I frankly don't care about. I was bitten and very disappointed by Legend of Korra, and I have no hope for the Seven Kingdoms series, because frankly, they've messed up the mythos in my opinion, and I have no intention of watching it unless something happens and someone tells me it's worth it, because I was bitten by Korra. I was wanting that to be great. I was thoroughly disappointed by it, and now I am wary of anything that's not original series or fanfiction about the original series. That is how jaded I am. The creators have pissed me off about that. But yeah, so I get a little upset. Proceed. But again, it's actually very, very... Mikhail the Younger. Hi. But yeah, if you can find it, I think the playlist is Always Trust Sokka's Instincts. It has several parts in it. Cold Hard Instincts is actually, I think, part 10 of the series, and there's like some of the parts have multiple chapters. It's a long thing. I have been working on this thing for multiple years. Base take, I like Republic City as a setting, but that's literally the only good thing about Korra, how bending and the Industrial Revolution coincide. Okay, found it on my channel? Wonderful, great, fantastic. I hope you enjoy it. I apologize, some of the art is very, very old. Oh, good grief. But yeah. Okay, I can work with that. Oh yeah, the story is very, very good. If you actually go to AO3 and find the original author and her readings of it, or not her readings of it, her like the physical writings of it, she actually puts my art in there, and I was so happy when she started doing that. Delete that. Grab this. And start selecting colors. This anime-inspired fan art. It's okay. So how I usually do my fan arts is I basically draw a scene from the story that is based off of. So this one, like Zuko in this story is part of the gang from very early in the first season, and he goes up to the North Pole with them. He has to deal with the Northern Water Tribe being distrustful of firebenders, and Sokka and him are really good friends. Like, I like the Zuko and Sokka are friends trope. Like, they are, like, best BFFs. So the actual art is based off of the fan fiction. It's not based off of a meme or anything. Damn it, I was on the wrong layer. There we go. Okay, the very standard tag for stories like this is Zuko joins the gang early. If you're on AO3 a lot, you will understand the fact that they are peak at their tagging. So it's Zuko joins the gang early, and I think it's also, Zuko is an awkward turtle duck is another tag. So it's that. And then, it's like, I just like Zuko and Sokka being friends. Because if you look at them, they're both guys who have very, talented younger sisters and are compared to them a lot, so I feel like that they would vibe a lot together. Okay, and we need that. That goes... Oop, that was not the right color. There we go. That's what I need. And we need all of y'all to be above the background layers. There we go. I'm not on AO3 all that much. I can understand that. If you're not a fanfic reader on a regular basis, I can understand people not being on AO3. But yeah. It's like, I highly recommend it. If you like the story and you don't want to wait for me to read it, by all means, go and check it out. I think there's like 17 parts now, and again, I am only on part 10. So, yeah, there's a lot to catch up on. It was actually part 10 that actually got me. I was like, I need to read this and I need to make art for it. So, yeah. Let's turn all of y'all off. I think I got most of like the background colors situated. Okay, so can probably turn that down a bit. Now I can... Okay. I literally want to try reading one fanfic in the moment, and that is an in development Ninjago story, but it's Christian and a friend is working on it. Then I have some dormant Star Trek ones I've been writing. Ah, okay. Yeah, I tend to read Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I tend to read a lot of alternate timelines, alternate universes, or canon divergent ones, where it's like, what if this happens within the canon? And a lot of them are like Zuko based. I find that I tend to be more, I focus on characters, and I find a character I like, and then I read all the stories I can about them. Because I do the same thing with the Harry Potter fandom, but it's Severus Snape. And then Milo Pony and King Sombra. So yeah. Countess's Snape wife? No, I tend to just like the ones where like people there's a large fan base of what if Severus Snape adopts Harry Potter. And I like those stories. There's like a lot of them are very, very cute. I don't want that to be that color. Let's see if I can do like maybe a dark blue for the line art. Then that would work. Okay. Oh, I don't think I know that side. It is a lot of not canon compliant fan fiction. I'm trying something new with the coloring of my line art. I think I also want thinner still. I like delicate line art. I don't know why. Yeah, I kind of, when I was designing the human-esque version of Countess, I kind of was drawing inspiration from Pixies. Like, if I could find some older versions, I probably actually need to go back and add her tail. Because she does have a tail in this design, technically, but it's hidden most of the time. I thought there was only one version of Countess. Well, like, okay, so Countess originally started as my pony OC, or my pony Sona. And so there's there's that version of her. And there's one person, and they make VTuber models, but they make pony Sona. You never saw the pony version. I could have sworn you saw the pony version. 1 second. Like, there's the original Countess Rose design. It's like, obviously I've changed some colors and stuff, primarily because I found out that green screen does not like my color combination. I do miss the green. But yeah. Da, 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 da. No, Countess would not have been in any of my Gilded Sister thumbnails because she's not a character from that fanfic. That particular image of her was used quite often, though, in my Two Mares review podcast. Which, if you watch my book club episodes, Grumpy Cobalt used to be known as Fire Scales. So that was an old podcast me and her used to do together when we were in college. Let's bump this up just a smidge. It's not classified as a podcast. You have to, like, dig down through my videos. If you look up Two Mares Review, you'll probably find it. It technically was a podcast, but it was more of a web series, I guess. Because I don't think... It was, like, we haven't done those in years, because, again, we have been out of college for a while. Yeah, over a decade. Hard to believe I've been technically on this platform for that long and still not monetized. Oh well, gonna try and fix that before they double the requirements. Good freaking grief. Countess's auntie? Yeah, I actually am going to be auntie here in a month or a couple months. I am old, don't remind me.
Minutes digging for exact change. The enormous tree-shouldered customer waited behind her, never rushing her. He simply stood there quietly until she finished. The station suddenly felt less like a haunted building and more like a neighborhood coffee shop I'd somehow never known existed. That thought disappeared when another customer entered. He was so tall his back scraped the ceiling tiles. His arms hung almost to the floor. His skin looked pale enough to glow. The entire station became real quiet. Every customer stopped moving. The giant walked to the coffee station, filled a cup, then noticed the pot was almost empty. He looked at it for several seconds, and then slowly he turned toward me. It was the first time all night one of them had looked directly at me. Every instinct I had screamed to step backward, but instead I stood perfectly still. He looked from me to the coffee maker, then back again. And then he gently placed the empty pot beneath the brewer, pressed the brew button once, then he nodded to himself. Shortly after, he quietly walked out. The line immediately started moving again, and I finally understood another part of the rule. The coffee wasn't for me. I wasn't the employee. I was like the caretaker. The machine belonged to them while it was brewing. Around 2:30, something unexpected happened. The front door opened and Deputy Brett Snyder walked inside. He looked exhausted. He stopped after 2 steps and his eyes moved across the station, across the customers and the line. Not one of them reacted to him. He looked toward me and I shook my head just once. His eyes dropped to the coffee maker, then to the laminated rule sheet lying beside the register. Without saying a word, Brett tipped his hat, backed slowly out the front door, and left. Apparently he knew better. The coffee pot finally ran dry around 3. The last customer poured what remained into a paper cup, placed $3 silver on the counter instead of cash, walked outside. The line disappeared with surprising speed after that. Within less than a minute, every customer had gone. The parking lot stood empty again. I looked at the 3 silver coins. They looked ancient. Each one was worn almost smooth. I reached toward them. "Don't." Denise's voice nearly stopped my heart. I turned around, and she was standing in the doorway to the office. I hadn't even heard her come in. She walked over, picked up the 3 coins with a folded shop towel, and dropped them into a small steel lockbox beneath the counter. "Never touch the old Roman coins." "I didn't even know you were here," I said. "I stay in the office on coffee nights." I stared at her. "You watched all that, huh?" "I've watched it for 32 years. "What are they?" She locked the box. "They're customers." "They're monsters." "They pay." She looked around the spotless station. "They never steal." She pointed toward the coffee maker. "They wait their turn." Then she looked back at me. "You know, I've had human customers cause far more trouble." And I couldn't argue with that. She grabbed the empty coffee pot, rinsed it in the sink, and set it back beneath the machine. The station looked completely ordinary again. If someone had walked in right then, they would have seen a clean convenience store, fresh floors, stocked shelves, and 2 employees getting ready for the morning rush.
Your child is awesome.
Rule 5. If a child comes in alone, looking for his parents, don't help him look for him. By the time I reached the 5th rule, I'd stopped wondering whether Denise was crazy. The rules worked. I didn't understand them. I didn't even pretend to. I just followed them. After everything I'd already seen, surviving seemed more important than understanding. It happened near the end of my shift. The clock behind the register read a little after 5 in the morning. Sunrise was still almost an hour away. The coffee pots had been cleaned, the floors were mopped, and I was counting cigarettes before Denise arrived for the morning shift. The highway had been empty for nearly 30 minutes, and then the front door chimed. I looked up expecting another truck driver, but instead, a little boy walked inside. He couldn't have been older than 8. His jeans were dirty. His sneakers looked like he'd walked through miles of mud. He held a faded stuffed rabbit by one ear. The toy had once been white. Now it was mostly gray. The boy quietly shut the door behind him and looked around the station. He seemed lost, unsure. When he reached the counter, he looked up at me with big, tired eyes. "Have you seen my mom?" For a split second, I almost answered. I almost told him, "Hey, we'd look together." I almost stepped around the counter. And then I felt the rule sheet inside my pocket. If a child comes in alone looking for his parents, don't help him look for him. My stomach tightened. I'm sorry, I haven't. The boy nodded. He looked sad. He hugged the stuffed rabbit a little tighter. Okay. He stood there quietly. I wasn't sure what to do. He looked completely normal. No glowing eyes or claws. No strange voice. Just a tired little kid. Finally, I grabbed a bottle of water from the cooler. You can have this. He smiled. Thank you. He took it with both hands. And then he walked over to the freezer doors, sat there, and drank his water. Every few minutes, he quietly patted the rabbit's head like he was making sure it was comfortable too. The station stayed completely quiet. No cars or headlights, no footsteps outside. I found myself watching him whenever I wasn't pretending to straighten shelves. Something about the whole situation felt off. Several minutes passed, and then the boy brushed his hair away from his forehead, and that was when I noticed them. Tiny black horns. They were barely visible beneath his hair, only a couple inches long, smooth, curved slightly backward, small enough.
What does the
that I
title of the
probably would've missed him if
fanfiction
he hadn't
mean
moved.
anyway?
He didn't notice me staring.
Title of
He
the
just kept
entire
sipping his water.
story or in title of like this particular part?
A few minutes later, the boy stood up. He carried the empty water bottle over to the trash can.
I think it's more of a joke, because in the show there was,
I think you're here.
I think it was the,
I hadn't heard a car, hadn't heard footsteps.
I think it was
I looked toward
the
parking
fortune
lot,
teller episode.
and it was empty.
They were making fun of
When I looked back,
Sokka's.
the boy was
No,
already
it was
walking toward
Jet's
the door.
episode. It was the episode
He
Jet,
went small
where they were like, say, Sokka was like, trust my instincts when they insist on walking. And it's kind of a play on that, but like it goes a little bit deeper.
But curiosity had
But
gotten me into trouble
read the story, listen to my reading it of it. I highly recommend it. It's a great story, hence why I have put so much time into it.
The boy crossed the empty parking lot, and then he ran, not toward the highway, toward the grassy hill behind the station.
Okay.
He climbed it easily, and when he reached the top...
Okay, I'll finish the line work and then I'll probably always trust
there were
Sokka's
6
instincts.
figures
Yep.
there. Even from hundreds
It's
of
based
feet
off of a
away, I
joke,
could
but
tell
it's
they were
kind of, it
enormous.
makes sense within the story
15
as well.
feet tall, maybe taller. Their silhouettes stood against the brightening sky. Each had long, curved horns rising from their heads. Their shoulders were wider than the station's front doors, and their eyes glowed with a soft red light. The boy reached them. The larger figure bent down first. The father. He gently lifted the child into his arms like he weighed nothing. The smaller figure stepped closer. The mother rested one enormous hand on top of the boy's head, and the little rabbit disappeared against the father's shoulder. For several seconds, the three of them simply stood together. It looked almost ordinary in a strange way, like a family picking up a child after school. The father adjusted the boy comfortably against one shoulder, and the child pointed back toward the gas station, probably talking about the water, maybe talking about me. And then all three slowly turned. The father looked directly toward the station, toward me, and even from that distance, I was terrified. The father never blinked as his red eyes stared over at me. Neither did the mother. They watched the station for several long seconds, and then a hand gently rested on my shoulder. I jumped. Denise? She didn't say a word. She simply reached past me and closed the blinds. The parking lot disappeared behind white plastic slats. For another few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then finally, she said, "That's why we don't help him. His parents are always hungry." Neither of us opened the blinds again. Maybe an hour went by, and curiosity won one last time. After Denise unlocked the front door for the morning deliveries, I quietly stepped outside. The morning air felt unusually cold. I walked to the edge of the parking lot, and the grass leading up to the hill was covered in footprints. One small set belonged to the boy, and beside them, two much larger sets stretched toward the forest. Each footprint had sunk several inches into solid ground. The earth looked compressed beneath every step, like something impossibly heavy had walked there. I followed the trail with my eyes until it disappeared beneath the trees. And after that, there wasn't a single sound. Just another quiet morning. Well, morning finally arrived. The first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, and for the first time all night, the station looked completely ordinary again. A delivery truck pulled into the lot. A woman stopped in for coffee on her way to work. A man filled his pickup and bought a lottery ticket before getting back on the highway. If someone had walked in right then, they never would have guessed what had happened only an hour earlier. Denise unlocked the front door, flipped the sign to open, and started counting the register like it was any other morning. For a while, neither of us said anything. Finally, I broke the silence. "Can I ask you something?" "You usually do." I looked toward the woods behind the station. "Why is this place here?" She finished counting the bills in her drawer before
It's something entirely different. I can't draw in complete silence. I tend to like listening to horror stories. So this is
Instead,
Lighthouse Horror over on YouTube. This one is the I work at a gas station that shouldn't exist.
Where do they come from? This time she actually paused, then shrugged. "Oh, I stopped asking a long time ago." She looked at me for a moment before closing the register drawer. There wasn't any frustration in her voice, no curiosity either. Just acceptance. Like she'd learned years ago that some questions simply didn't have answers. A family came in to pay for gas, and the conversation ended there. Denise smiled, wished him a safe trip, and went back to stocking cigarettes behind the counter as though we'd been talking about tomorrow's weather instead of everything I'd seen over the past few weeks. I carried my coffee outside. The morning air was cool, and a light layer of fog still drifted across the highway. Birds were singing.
Spookorara. I think I actually probably have her on my list to watch.
And then something caught my attention. I looked across the highway. For the first time since I'd taken the job, I really looked. There wasn't a road over there. There should have been. Customers drove in from that direction every single night. I'd watched headlights appear from those trees hundreds of times. But in the daylight, there was only forest. Dense hardwood trees stretched as far as I could see.
Yeah, I think I actually follow her on Twitter too.
No gravel entrance, just trees. I stood there staring, convinced I had to be missing something. And then another customer pulled into the station. An older man filled his truck, came inside for coffee, paid in cash, wished me good morning, and climbed back behind the wheel. A few moments later, another customer arrived. Then another. By then, nothing about the morning felt unusual anymore. And that's when I realized something. Before I started working here, I thought monsters only existed in stories. I was wrong. They buy coffee. They wait in line. They pick up their children after school. And every night, they stop for gas.
Tempur-Pedic breeze makes sleep feel cool. So no more sweating all night or blasting the air conditioner because the Tempur breeze feels up to 10 degrees cooler all night long. Find cooler sleep with the Temper Breeze collection at an Ashley near you.
For some reason, for Persona 5, I've never played the Persona game, so I'll take your word for it. Think of the character. If you want more long-form gaming to try and like themes of mythology, religion, psychology, I recommend the series. I don't know, maybe. I tend to prefer shorter games. It might just be my attention span is completely shot. Okay, where am I having you look, Sokka? It's like, I know you can, like, dump a lot of time into the Persona game, so I think that's why I've never tried them. Did I finish? Let's see. There we go. Okay. that should do it for the line art. Okay. Not bad for a test stream. So I think we're gonna call it a night. It's already a little late for me, so I will talk to y'all guys later. And I might start doing this more often. I probably will not be all in the evenings. It might be in the mornings, but we'll see. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful